Hello, my name is Scott Stevenson. I've given a workshop on writing nonfiction for magazines through the Townships Young Voices program. And this is a recap of the 3 workshops that I gave, in which I've drawn out what I see as 3 key ingredients to writing a good nonfiction story for magazines. Those 3 key ingredients, in my view, are getting to the heart of the story, writing concisely and beautifully, and linking your story to the larger web of our lives. So the first part is getting to the heart of the story. I'm drawing on my own experience writing and editing for magazines, newspapers, and other publications, and also just generally appreciating good storytelling. I'm also drawing on a lot of learning that I've had myself from good teachers and mentors, such as my mother, Barbara Verity, as well as a former Townships Sun editor and editor of the Sherbrooke Record at one time, Charlie Berry. In getting to the heart of the story, I want to go back to kind of the roots of storytelling, sitting around the fire and telling each other stories. I had this experience, and it was my probably first key learning experience in getting to the heart of the story, where I was a fishing guide one summer in northern Quebec, and in the evenings the guides and I would sit around the wood stove and tell stories. But I learned very quickly that I wasn't very good at it, because the way it goes, as you may have experienced, is that one person starts telling a story of such and such that happened that day, and as soon as that story starts to lose interest, somebody else jumps in and tells their story, and so it goes. And those who get to the heart of the story and tell it well and so on hold the audience longest and tell the nicest story or the most interesting story. So I learned that not only I had to get better at my French, because this was in my second language, but also that I had to get to the heart of the story faster in storytelling in person. Now, in writing, it's a lot easier because you have time to think about it and go back and do that. Now, the tips that I would offer in terms of getting to the heart of the story, identifying it, are learning and experiencing everything you can about your subject, listening to yourself, what's important to you about the story, how does it make you feel, knowing your readers, your audience, what's important to them, knowing what is going on in your readers' world, following their media, knowing what others have written on the subject and what hasn't been written, and taking the time to think about the subject, the event, the research that you've done, letting it sink in, letting your mind work on it for a while, and eventually some important, interesting aspect will come to you, especially with practice. Being curious and open-minded, setting aside your assumptions, asking lots of questions, asking why a lot. So those are a list of tips that I see as the way to get to the heart of the story, identifying the heart of your story. In writing your story, it's important to bring that up to the surface as quickly as possible, to the start of your story, to capture the reader's interest. In the next summary recap of the workshop, I'll talk about writing concisely and beautifully, turning that heart of the story into a story written well.